Hey guys, Jared Krause here, host of the Buying Online Businesses podcast. And in this episode, I'm doing something very different. Actually, it's not so different now. This is our third episode where Charley and I, my business partner, are going deep into sharing our journey of buying and building a portfolio of businesses. Now, this is the series that's going to be called the Portfolio Series. And we've only just recently started this brand new portfolio together, and we're documenting and sharing it all with you. And in this episode this week, this is episode number 3, we give you a bit of an update on the portfolio, and we got some really cool news with some additional things to the portfolio that I think you're going to be excited about, which we are very excited for. We're also going to be talking about why you should do a lot of due diligence when you're looking for sites to buy, and how important that is in getting a lot of data and a lot of feedback to be able to get more leverage on your side when you're looking at buying businesses. We also talk about why you should understand the seller's intent and why they're intending to sell the business, and how critical that can be when it comes to, painting the picture of the business you're looking at buying and really understanding if it's a good deal or not. And we talk about why you shouldn't be too biased towards a niche that you love and what you should do to ensure that you don't go away and buy business just because you love it, even though it, to find out later on it doesn't really perform so well. And then there's one really cool thing that I do share with you as well, which is a due diligence story from a client of mine. I'm going to say that again, due diligence, because it's a tongue twister. A due diligence story from a client of mine, which will amaze you what the seller actually did. And these things actually occur quite often in my realm. So I think you're going to love this episode. If you're looking to buy a website business, or you're thinking about it, or you know somebody who is looking to buy a website or thinking about it, then this episode is for you and for them. So go away and enjoy. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Buying Online Business podcast and the Portfolio Series. Charley, thanks for coming on.
My pleasure to be here. And I want to say a special thanks to the couple of people who reached out and wanted to know more. I'm so excited by this series. It's been so much fun, not only being on the podcast, but actually building a portfolio, which I know is something many people in this audience want to do. So very, very exciting times, Jared.
Yeah, super exciting. We had so much fun leading up to this, and so much fun, especially in the last sort of couple of weeks, last month. I guess here's where we should just give everybody the update of what's been happening. Do you want to start by talking about with content and money and with our current parenting niche site?
Absolutely.
Baby niche site?
I'll do some stats. I want to do the run through of the stats. So today is the 16th of November at the time of recording. There is a little bit of a delay between recording and releasing, but I always want to timestamp them, as I've said before, so that we've got this on the record from there. So the website we're working on at the moment so far has made just under $50 USD since we put Azoic on. So really excited to see that start to ramp up. But what I want to share beneath that, because that's not almost like the important bit, I think that amount of money is almost novel, but it's moving in the right direction. But this is the thing I'm probably more excited about. So we've been working on that site for about a month-ish now. I think we're coming up to about the 5th week we've been properly working on it. And so far we've got, and I'm reading this out, I don't want to muddle it from here, but so 16 new articles published on the site. And then this is the one I think is probably more important, is that 32 articles have been refreshed. And why I think that's important, often when we buy a site or we're looking at the site, we can get really excited about making new content, that there's like simple things you can do to better, I suppose, reframe, rewrite, add things in, internal link, like so much can be done there to produce a better result.
Yeah, quality over quantity. Like we don't just want to, I think a lot of people get this wrong, is they buy a site and they go, cool, I need to keep this content machine going and just keep pushing out articles, when in fact there's so much low-hanging fruit there in just refreshing them. Like they've already got the bones of a decent article that may be ranked in the, in between 10 to 3 or something like that, or even a little bit lower, and they can go and compare that to another article that's similar to that but better, and just optimize it to be even better than the best one that is listed or ranked, and massive low-hanging fruit without having to rack your brain for new keyword ideas and new content ideas and higher, like it's a very good low-hanging fruit.
And one of the easy ones, I think so many people try to I'll give you an example. Obviously, this isn't one we would do, but I'm sure someone else out there is doing it. Let's say it was for the, best blender in 2019. So someone's gone through and they've spent all this effort researching and going through these things. And I'm pretty confident if you had a site in that niche, you'd probably want to do best blender 2020 or 2021. So I think updating timely posts or creating newer versions of those so you are the most relevant is something many sites could probably take advantage of from continually updating. Someone who does that really well is Brian from Backlinko. You can do some really epic updates and meaningful updates you'd want to reread. So killer strategy in itself. But I'll hand the mic over now because I think there's some rather exciting news to share. We'll get out of the weeds. Anything else happen, Jared? I don't know, any significant events? Just a small
event happened this week. And actually, I'm going to timestamp this like we did last episode. Date of recording is it the 16th? Yeah, 16th of November, 2020. I was just telling Charley, I've been looking at so many sites for sale. In fact, I think it was not last week, the week before, I did due diligence on 10 sites. I think it might even be more because I think I looked at a couple of other ones, maybe 12 or something.
I've never done so much due diligence in my life compared to when we started this project. So much. I
remember, just for everybody listening, is I compiled a list of these 10 sites that I looked at and put it in this document for Charley to go away and look at. And it was a lot of data. It was a lot of information for you to sift through, but I hopefully packaged up in a nice way for you. But so I've done a bunch of research and due diligence on sites and a lot of talking to people and flexing the network and looking for sites to buy. And on Friday morning, I went for a surf. I came in, I signed a APA, assets purchasing agreement. The other person has signed it straight away. And then I bought a business. Well, we bought a business, Charley.
So I just congratulations.
Congratulations to us. Yeah. So we just basically, I just called the bank and said, hey, increase my transfer limits and walk me through the process and we'll transfer some money. So we transferred that into escrow and we're just waiting for that to show up in escrow now and we will take migration over this week. So we've got one of our key members in the team, Jade, she's going to bring the business into our portfolio. And we will be talking more about that business and growth strategies coming. Should we tell people what the niche it's in, Charley? Do you want to? I'll hand over the mic to you.
Actually, I want to ask you a question here, and this is out of script or preparation, so this might go sideways, but nonetheless, we'll see. Do you think all the due diligence we've been doing across the last month, which is a lot, we've gone through so many sites, as it's come time where we've bought one site, so I would make the assumption here, I think we've done due diligence on more than, I reckon, around 40 or 50 sites in the last month in total, somewhere in that region. Has doing that much due diligence made you more confident in just buying one? And do you think it's a good idea to do that, research that many sites and look at that many things, or did we go too far?
It's a great question. I'm actually very, very glad you asked that. It's been super helpful. Not that I don't do due diligence, I do a lot of due diligence, right? Especially with people in the community. They send me their due diligence and I review it. I'm constantly reviewing sites and due diligence. And it has even been beneficial for me, and I find for you as well, in terms that, or in a sense that we have a specific site that we're looking for, a specific content site that we're looking for. And by finding those content sites and just doing due diligence on those, it's allowed us to see what sites are more valuable than others and less risky than others, and what low-hanging fruits they have over some of the others, and better growth strategies and all that sort of stuff. So it has been very beneficial. I think to sum it up for everybody that's listening is that if you're looking to buy anything, a website, or any investment, is you need to go away and
shares, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. You need to go away and look at all these other types of investments that are within that categories. Like say you were just buying website businesses, you need to look at all these different websites and then start to get that data and just pull it into your consciousness and become conscious of, what this site's doing compared to another one, compared to another one, compared to another one. And by getting so much feedback, only by feedback can you make empowered decisions and confident decisions. and wise and smart decisions. So all that was is us doing, Charley, is going out and getting a bunch of feedback to allow us to make a better decision. And that's why I tell people that join the community is like, go away and just practice due diligence on so many sites and learn it. And that's just going to make you a better investor and help you buy a better business. So I'm so glad you asked that.
I'm an avid golfer, or butcher, I should say. I'm an avid butcher on a golf course. But I joke, but not far off. I'm not great at it. I do enjoy it though. But one of the things you really notice in golf is it's a touch sport. It's not something you can play once a year and get better at. It's something where it's like if you're out there a few times a week, you will see skill improvement. I didn't expect to see that or feel that in this space. I must say that just in the 10 sites we reviewed over the last week, going through and understanding how the content strategy or the keyword research has played a role into the different growth paths has almost reshaped my thinking about how to approach growth of some of these sites. There's been all these little hidden benefits I really didn't expect to get from going through the process as well.
Yeah. There is just all the little things that you pick up compounds into you becoming a better investor and what happens with your portfolio. And I just want to really let people know that like they may see us, Charley, and go, all right, you guys have a team and you got a couple of businesses and all this blah, blah, blah. But I want people to know is like, yes, due diligence. Like I went away and did due diligence on 10 sites in 3 days myself. We don't have a team doing due diligence, Charley. You went and did, due diligence revision and checked all that sort of stuff out. It's just me and Charley doing the due diligence here. It's not, we're doing it ourselves. I want people to understand that like you should be able to do that amount of due diligence yourself. And it didn't take me the whole day, each day as well. I think people go, all right, I might do a due diligence on like one site a week or something like that. And I just find if you're hungry, you should, like we are, Charley, you should really get those numbers up.
I feel really confident in the purchasing choice as well because of it, I will say. But I want to ask a different question here because one of the things I think is interesting is that, to do due diligence properly, it does take some time and some very real brain power. I don't want to undersell that at all. I think it does very much take that. Yeah. Do you think that just doing one site at a time, so just do complete due diligence on one site, go through that negotiating process, do it in and out and go to the next one is the approach? Or in the way that you've done it where it's like, we're like multi-tracking, right? There's all this due diligence kind of flying through all at the same time. Was that overwhelming to deal with, or how do you think, was that the way to do it? I mean, I'm asking you, you've got more experience than I do. To be honest, and I'll clarify this, when we did the 10 in a weekend, I did find that quite a stretch. Like I found myself actually like routinely, I'm going for a 15-minute walk and I'm coming back to look at this. Like I'm cooked looking at the same chart.
I've probably got a bit more like due diligence fitness. We call it surf fit when we're surfing. Paddle fitness and stuff. I've probably got a bit more due diligence fitness than you because I do it a lot more. For me, to answer the question is, was it hard? No. Was it simple? Yes. The reason it was simple is because I made it simple. I didn't look at, oh my God, I got to do 10 sites. I got to do due diligence on 10 sites. I didn't look at it like that. I just went, all right, cool. I'm going to go away and do due diligence on just one. And I went through and I did due diligence on that one all the way through until I was complete, right? So I went all the way through, marked out what everything was, and then I did the risks, the opportunities, next steps, and what I thought highlighted some key things as well. And then I packaged that up and put that into the spreadsheet that you saw, Charley. And then I just went, okay, that one's done. And went and did another one. Finished that, and I went through the whole thing until it was completed. So I just looked at it from not, oh my God, I've got to tackle this mountain. It's like, I just got to take one step. So there was 10 steps. I just had to take one step at a time. And I didn't put all my pressure on myself and going, all right, I've got to climb this mountain, or I've got to do this 10 sites in 1 day or 2 days. So I think it's really important to do one at a time, because then you can start getting confused between business to business, especially if you're looking at 10 sites that were similar as the ones that we were looking at, which are all content sites, all monetize the same way, all, very similar strategy. So don't confuse yourself. Just do one at a time.
And follow a process as well. I was saying your due diligence framework made it so much easier for me as well. I really enjoyed it. I mean, I did love that we, eat our own dog food here. We do the stuff we actually preach, which is great to see. But I want to jump a little bit into another topic through this. So one of the things that I noticed came up for both of us in different ways was dealing with our biases. Like some of the sites we reviewed were in niches we either personally enjoy, like hobbies we like, or topics we like. I found it really interesting that on the sites that were in topics we liked, our initial excitement was way higher and we wanted it to be the perfect site. And I almost felt we spent a bit of time, like, I suppose, untalking ourselves out of it, so to speak. So I wanted to or have your opinion or see if you could talk into the idea of knowing your biases and making sure that you're not getting into a niche because, I don't know, maybe you like that niche and you want to be in surfing because you're Jared and you love surfing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good question. I've now know that every time I see something within surfing, it's just there's not much money in it. So I've kind of written that off. Unfortunately, it's not the most lucrative industry compared to some. Now, I'm very conscious of my emotions of like, all right, I'm super excited. I'm really, really excited. And what helps me get in check is the due diligence document. It's like, all right, I need to like make sure I go through this. And it comes back to what I always tell people, and everybody listening would have heard me say this 1,000 times, but it is true that you need to not prove that a business is a good investment. You need to first prove it's a bad investment. If you can't prove it's a bad investment, then you must buy. And so that one, what was it? Was it Friday, Charley, or Saturday? I sent you, I was so excited. I came in from a surf again, checked my emails, and I was like, oh, look at this. This is like in the niche that we both love. Like we both talk about this a lot. And I was super excited. And then you put me in check, which was great because I was like, it would have happened eventually down the line where you put me in check. The good thing was that you put me in check before I had to go away and do due diligence, which is really good because I would have done due diligence and then I'll be like, oh, I kind of just wasted some time here. And the check was that like, we just bought a business, Jared, like, and we've just got to get the team running and rolling with that one. We can't, overload them too quickly. So thanks for that, Charley. And I want to ask you, how do you deal with those biases? Because I remember there was a site that we looked at in the cycling niche, and you're just like the most avid cycler that I know. How did you deal with that? And how do you deal with some of the other ones with your biases towards something you like? All right, this is the niche that I love.
It's hard. And I'll explain. We'll go deeper than it's hard. I think everyone can acknowledge it's hard. But I would almost say something different here is like, I would love to have a business in cycling. I really would. And I think it's my knowledge and understanding of cycling that actually gives me a big advantage when doing due diligence, because I can say this content's crap or they should be writing about the trends that are actually coming. Because I can tell when someone's got a site and it's not by a cyclist straight away. Yeah. They just don't know the things or aren't up to his date with like the latest gossip, what's really going on. It feels like they're very behind or uninformed.
Yeah.
But like, there's real big advantages with it. But the other side of it is that whenever there's a site that's in a niche that I'm really, really biased towards, I like to know that someone else would buy it who's not a cyclist.
Yes.
Because like if you were willing to buy it, or one of our good friends, Gert, if I got him to do an SEO review, if he went through it, he's like, oh, this is it. Like that would probably be something that would allow me to pull the trigger. But I've almost got a list of like, I know this is going to fly through my radar and I would probably compromise if left unchecked. Because I would say things to myself like, oh, well, I would be able to fix the content on this because I know how to do it.
Yeah. You know more about it. Like you can write better content. But is that what you want, Charley?
Well, that would mean I'm willing to buy a site with crap content. Do you know what I mean? Like it's kind of the compromises you start to make because you want to be in some of these niches. So it's really fascinating that both of us have kind of said a very similar thing about you want to be able to get other people involved to kind of check yourself, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's so true. And this is why I tell people, it's like when I first started, I had people look at the first one, I was like, most people think this is a scam and they're going to talk me out of it anyway. And I'm like, I need to do this, so I'm just going to do it. Luckily, it was a good business and I did as much research as I could into it. The second one, I had somebody look at it. The third one, I had somebody look at it. And from here on in, I've always had somebody look at it for me, look at my due diligence, say, look, this is that, this is that. Second one was my dad. The third one, I had other people look at it. And that's why I got so super excited when people started saying, hey, Jerry, can you teach me this stuff about buying a business? It was that I was going to help people buy a business and replace their income and get out of the 9 to 5, but also be there to go, maybe we should think about this type of business. In fact, we were talking about this earlier, Charley. There was there's somebody in the community who was doing due diligence on some sites, 2 sites that were like getting sold as a package. And we wanted to talk about this in this episode, which was like comparing sites and having options and stuff. And they were like, oh, I found this other site. Should I, I really like this one. I want to buy it, the one that they've just done due diligence on, but I found this other one. Should I go away and do due diligence on that? And I was like, yes, you certainly should, because that way you're going to compare them both, right? You're going to compare them both. And from that, then you can start to have options and you can start to go and buy the better one because you got feedback from them both. Do you want to talk about having options and comparing sites and why you feel it's so important, especially through what we've just done?
Yeah, so I want to more talk about from the experience we've just had. So I'll talk about like my own feelings here. Because we've had options, right? If any single one of the sites we've looked at that we were like, okay, this is a go, we would be happy to buy this one if the deal's right. If any of them come back with an unreasonable expectation, so they want way higher valuation than it's worth, to be in that position to say, well, walk, I don't need you. Like I got these other ones.
Yeah.
You had this very, very different set of leverage and emotions because you're not worried about, oh, I don't want to piss off this seller if he leaves. I really want this site. So throughout this, I don't want to say I've been complacent, but I've almost not cared if one of the sites disappeared because we've been able to look at others. Then conversely, it's that confidence, right? Because I'm like, and if you imagine you were buying on a mystical street, you're going to buy a house and there was 10 houses on the same street available. And they're all different, and you go into them and you've got this really good understanding of like why you like one or why you like the other or why this one's the right one from you. Because you've seen 10 on the same street, this mystical street where 10 are all for sale next to each other. It's like you can be really confident that you've bought the right one for you. Where if you've only looked at one, how do you know the neighbors isn't better? So I've looked at this and gone, okay, well, having those types of options, not being fearful if a seller goes away, not having to take a poor deal or a deal we're not willing to make. I just look at all of that and go, I actually think this is such a better experience to buy websites in, and a climate and environment where I think your chances of getting a good deal by doing so much due diligence and having so much options are greatly increased, like massively increased.
Yeah, you just end up getting a better deal. You really do. And you're not having to bow down to one particular seller that's like, I want this amount. And you're like, oh my God, I need to buy this business because it's like the only one that I'm doing due diligence on, or you don't think about that, but like, this is the one. But if you can compare the one to another and to another, then you can go, all right, cool. Where would my money be better spent?
Completely.
And that's something that we had and we will always have, is that we're doing due diligence on so many sites, and we compared, like 11 sites, and we went, well, these people want to sell their sites. Which one's better for us? Which one's going to be better for the team? And which one are we going to get a better deal on? Less risk and all that sort of stuff. And, both were waiting for offers from us. All right.
Do you know what's really interesting? Just to share with everyone else, it's fascinating to me that one of the things that disqualified sites, like when we're looking at all these sites, the things that really disqualified them for us outside of like business model, like routinely we saw poor quality content was a reason we didn't buy a site, is the content was like rubbish, hire the cheapest writer who could do SEO format. Like we got rid of that.
That's been a big theme in
huge thing
that we've seen. Yeah.
I would say that's probably one of the things to be most paying attention to in that sites. But then the other one is seller intent, right? This is really, really interesting that in my previous purchases that even I haven't noticed it as much as in the recent ones, but the reason someone's selling a site I've found to be quite fascinating. Like we've seen different things here. Did you want to share a little bit about just the different reasons people sell a site and what you potentially want to watch for or look out for here?
Yeah, this is This is a good question that I always get asked. Is like, why would somebody sell a site that's already making money and it's good quality? And I've always said to people that people want to sell these sites because, hey, look, like they want to take that money elsewhere. They need that money and they just want to go away and reinvest it. Now, there's multiple layers and multiple levels to that. Now, sometimes the seller's intent is to, yes, sell these sites so they can go away, and most of the time is so they can go away and cash out and put that money somewhere else. But also there may be deeper layers and deeper reasons. For example, maybe they've held onto a site that they've tried to make it work and they put a lot of time, resources, and effort into it, and they haven't been able to do it. And that could be due to their skill. It could be due to the environment, like market changes and algorithm changes and stuff like that. It could be due to their team and the lack of skills in their team. And it could be due to, them wanting to sell because, like, I just have a business that's decent and I need to go away and get surgery or pay for college. And I've had all of these reasons as well. But I think there are deeper reasons, and the deeper that you go, the more you can understand was like, all right, are they selling this based off a certain type of emotion, right? And that's what I'd like to understand is like, are they selling this based off fear, right? Or they're selling this based off like, I'm okay with this. If it sells, great. If it doesn't sell, that's okay. Like if they're selling it and they're attached to the sale, that I believe that's something to worry about. That's something to think, all right, cool. They're trying to sell this because they need to sell it because of this. Then you really need to go, all right, is the asset affected? Has the asset been affected in a way that they've tried to make it work so much and they put so much time and resources into it and they just need to get some sort of money back? Or is there an unattachment? It's like, or it's working, it's good. If I sell it, great. If I don't, that's okay as well. So I think that's really important to understand with the intent. What do you think? Because I know that I'm more like putting offers in and talking to people about numbers and stuff like that. But from where you sit in the picture, like what do you see with seller intent and why it's important to understand it, Charlie?
All right, so I got some stories and things here that I think are fascinating. I want to share them because I think people who are buying sites should understand them as well. The thing you're looking for the most, right? I honestly, I don't mind what someone's life is, right? They've got other things going on. That's completely cool. But what I am looking for is authentic sale. So the ideal for me is someone who's got a business and they've maybe got another opportunity and they realize they have to sacrifice a good opportunity in the pursuit of a great opportunity. Because their good opportunity can become a great opportunity for me because of their circumstance. Like that's the purchase I'm looking to make. Yeah. So hypothetically, someone starts 2 sites, one takes off slightly more than the other, and then they've got to grab onto that one that's taking off more abruptly because they need more resources. They want to invest more capital into it. They want to make a SaaS. So they sell the other side that's still good, but they go there. Like that's what you're looking for in some version.
Yes.
Ideally. The other one is people hit a skill gap, right? Some people are great at starting sites, and once it gets to a certain level, they don't have any more to offer. Also a really good one. Someone moving on from an industry because of a life change. Maybe they had a kid, need surgery, moving countries, like all bunch of reasons that are really authentic. What I think you want to be really cautious of, and this is something I've seen, one of the sites we look at, I felt like it was a failed project. They've dressed up to try and move on to salvage. It's a salvage mission.
Yeah.
I think what's interesting is they haven't removed us from Google Analytics yet. So when at the time we were kind of negotiating on this side of going through it, the numbers were at their all-time high. And as soon as we've said, look, we're moving on, they've tanked. So it's like when negotiations were on, they were pooling resources into it to try and dress it up a little bit. And as soon as that's kind of moved on, it hasn't. So as someone who's buying sites, what I find really, really interesting is understanding seller intent is just so important. So because there are actually people out there, and I'm not saying all of them, but there are definitely people out there trying to pass off lemons.
Yeah. Yeah, there are. And like you said, dress them up. Like they could have they could have put so much money into it in terms of creating content. Like if we're talking about content sites, and upon sale time, they go, yeah, we don't really publish regularly. We don't put too much content. We don't publish too much content. It's just sitting here like this, and we don't have much expenses. But they've really hammered home expenses. In fact, let me talk about a real experience that happened in the last week, right? So was it Friday? One of the guys sent me a video screen share with a seller for a business that's listed on a broker, and I said, hey, look at these links. Are they any good? Doing a bit of a backlink SEO check and all that sort of stuff. And he said there was no PBNs to the site. And then he decided to call the seller and ask, hey, can we check financials and all that sort of stuff? And he said, hey, with these links, where do these links come from? And he mentioned that, I've got this link that from a friend of mine, and then I also helped out with some posting and some things in a forum, and I got this other link from another friend of mine. And he's like, there's a bunch of different blogs that this guy knew that he got links from. And there was also some paid links as well. And basically he had a PBN attached to this site, but he was saying, oh no, it's just friends. It's just friends that, Google doesn't see this as a PBN because it's just, we're just friends and we're just sharing some links and stuff like that. Isn't that just insane? Like, and they actually listed it, and he actually asked personally, do you, are these PBN links, and he just investigated it further, and he shared that to me. I've actually got the video. It's in my email. And I'm just like, and he's like, look, this is like, and this is what I do with people, right? We identify these things and I go, you need to check this out further. They go away and investigate. They come back to me with a report and we go, all right, cool, that's good. Or, all right, cool, what do you think we should do from here? Obviously the answer was like, let's walk away from this, which he did. And he was thrilled. He was absolutely thrilled. So this is another example. And I have these weekly, Charley, where people that are selling sites may be dressing things up. And knowing the intent of why they're selling, if you have that intent and knowing why they really want to sell, and then you can link the dots up, some of the things that they say, like, oh, maybe, no, these are just links from friends. And some of the other things, like you start to get all these dots. That's what due diligence is. You start to get all these dots and all these answers. And when you link them all up, it creates this picture. And if the picture is good, great, move forwards. If the picture isn't great and everything doesn't link up very seamlessly and the picture doesn't look good, you walk away. And that's what one of those dots, and it's a big dot, in fact, is seller intent, and understanding that. Absolutely critical.
Isn't that amazing, right? How people can they lie.
He's blatantly lied. Yeah. It was disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. And they've lied to the broker as well. So it's the broker does do, they say they do some vetting and stuff like that, but guys, we just need to be careful here.
It's on you. I think just accept it's on you, even if the broker says that. And I'm not that brokers don't do a great job. I think many of them do, but I'd say at the end of the day, you want to take your own responsibility. But to its point, imagine you're spending, let's say, $100,000 on a site, and you're taking on the risk of, oh yeah, my friends have put some links on this. It's like, that would not make me feel comfortable at all.
Well, that's right. Like, even if it was legitimately, he had one or two links, it's still like that is a dot in the picture that just doesn't link up and doesn't make sense. And if you got many of those things, many of those little pieces of feedback, you're not just buying a site from somebody, you're buying into a relationship where you want to the site that we're buying, Charley, is like, I'm going to buy more sites from this person because he has a portfolio of sites.
Well, don't give away too much. That's a future episode there, Jared. Be careful.
More to come, guys. More to come. Some juicy content. But like when you're doing due diligence, not just on the business, but also the seller.
Hugely agree. Such an important point. And I would encourage anyone who's thinking about buying a site to probably listen to this episode a couple of times, because there's so much in here that is so much deeper than just going through a due diligence framework like the one Jared has created, which is amazing, but deeper levels of understanding that will help you as well. So is there anything more you wanted to add into this episode, Jared?
No, I think that's it. How about you, Charley?
No, I'm comfortable. I think this is a great one. I'm looking forward to sharing some of the stuff about migrating the site and onboarding the site in the next episode.
Yeah, me too. Charlie, thanks so much for coming on. Everybody, before you go and switch off this episode and move on to something else, please, what I want you to do is think of 2 to 3 people who are looking to get some money online or make money online or start, dabbling in this space and just experimenting and at least learning about this. What I'd love you to do is share this episode with them so they can become educated on buying sites and doing due diligence and what it actually takes and what they should be looking out for. Do them a massive favor and share this episode with them. It's also a massive favor to us because, yes, you're sharing the episode, but more importantly, share this education like you would with all the other podcasts you listen to as well. So thanks so much, guys, for listening, and I'll see you on the next one.